Vegas mini camp. That's coming up right away.
Yeah.
Now,
so who lives there again? What do we have in Vegas?
Yeah.
Oh, right, Ed Hervey.
Right.
His family lives there.
Yeah. Awkward. Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire podcast.
Here's Mike Riley, takes the drop, waits and throws, and he's going deep downfield to Darius Bowman. Oh my goodness, what a catch by Darius Bowman. You won't see many better than that. Franklin to Zylstra, touchdown Eskimos. Pressure's coming. Oh, Levi Mitchell goes down. There's a big play for the defense. Somersaults for everybody.
Welcome back to the Turf District for episode 85 of the Eskimo Empire podcast. I'm your host, Andrew. Thank you for downloading and having a listen. Got a few things planned for the show with our regular Eskimo history segment and, of course, by the numbers as well. And we have a returning featured fan. And with me, as always, to regale us in all our Eskimo exploits is Superfan Mike.
Here to regale us all.
That's what I was hoping for. Exactly. We are recording on an Oiler game night again. So what the
fire trucker?
You've recovered from podcaster Ryan.
Yeah, nothing to recover from. That was a great time. Just my sides were hurting from all the laughing, but
yeah, we had a good time. And I make sure you go back, listen to that one. Everyone, I still am waiting for the trend of the hashtag hammer in the pants.
Yes.
Although it did come a few times, I did see it, but a little more was I think is appropriate.
Stop. Hammer time.
That's I like that idea. Yeah. All right. Joining us tonight for more Esks talk is a returning fan, stepping in so gracefully when our lined up guest couldn't quite make it. He's Boydo on Esks fans, and here we just call him Boyd. How you doing, man?
Good. I will answer to Boydo, though, if you call me that.
Excellent. All right, then. Well, welcome back, Boydo.
Thank you very much.
Other than the team side of things, how's the off-season for you?
Boring.
Boring? Well, I guess
it's so long.
Compared to the team, that's probably a good thing at this particular moment.
Longer than last offseason, which kind of sucks.
Yes. Counting down till spring camp opens up, and yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, well, I think we're all in that mode right now, right? Because
is it June yet?
Especially last week, it was so nice before the snow fell again, and we're all thinking, oh, it's so close, you can just feel it, and then not so much.
Mother Nature said, well, yeah, hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't received our season seats yet.
No, me neither.
Whereas I got the memory thing comes up on Facebook, and got little pictures of the little guy holding up his tickets from weeks ago.
Yes, I never get them because I've had the payment plan on my credit card.
Yeah.
So you don't get it until you finish the payment plan, which is June. So I don't get it until late. At least they have my address. Last year they mailed them to my previous address.
To Victoria. Oh, helpful. Yeah.
Well, I was in Victoria last year. They mailed them to my previous address in Victoria.
Oh,
so
okay.
I didn't get them at all.
Oh, that would be a problem. Yeah.
And then I found someone in the building before who said, hey, I got these season tickets I'm selling. Yeah. Funny you should mention that.
Funny you should mention that. And they're right where I usually sit. How convenient. Yeah, exactly. No, that's true. We haven't got them yet, which is a little odd. I usually have them by now.
They're a little busy, apparently, at the office.
I don't know with what.
Stop. Hammer time.
Oh.
Maybe they're sorting out our gift with purchase.
Yes.
I don't know.
They're going to make it
a
very
gift
special.
with purchase, so that would be $10 off at Jiffy Lube. Is that the...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad that'll be in there again.
Tony Roma ribs. I don't know.
Oh, geez, is Halsey back in there again? Or
Yes.
Okay. Any new fun Esks memorabilia, anything like that you've gotten in the last, since we had you here? It was just over a year ago.
Well, I just so happened to have got a team photo from 2015.
Wow.
Tonight.
How convenient.
Outstanding. That's weird. I have one too.
No kidding.
Yes.
Yeah, me, I have a couple.
There you go.
It's, my memorabilia purchases have been kind of kiboshed.
Oh, okay.
For now.
For a little bit.
Apparently I have too much, and this is after losing a box of stuff.
I'm sorry, what was that? Too much? I don't understand what those words
Yeah,
mean.
exactly.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
TW said nope.
All right.
So,
well,
what do you do?
Oh, well, then you smile and
Yes, dear.
hope for next time. That's
Smile,
right.
hide your credit card statement, and away you go.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well,
She doesn't listen to this, does she? Okay, we're good. No.
Yeah. Wait, why doesn't she? What the hell?
Well, she's
No,
watching.
okay.
She's watching a hockey game.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Jeepers. let's start with the big news. So, it's been all over the Esks page and all those types of things. So the Anthem Singer contest is about to open. It's very exciting.
You've got my vote.
I know, you're both in. That's what I thought. It was both of you, right?
Yep.
I think we have an example of Mike singing it.
Yep.
From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Perfect. No, let's get to the news that everyone wants to talk about. And we had so many Empire questions that we didn't get a chance to get to, but Ed Hervey, of course, being relieved of his duties about a week and a half ago. Big shock to all of us in the Empire. Your initial thoughts, Boyd, when you saw that?
I thought it was an April Fool's joke that was not on the right day.
Fooled you twice.
And I'm going, this can't be right. There's got to be something going on. Like, they're just screwing around, or they promoted him or something. And then I read it again. I'm like, and I started texting, started phoning. I'm like, dude, what's going on? Trying to get a hold of everybody that I know, and just nobody was talking. And then the news conference was pretty uneventful and uninformative, but
which most of them are when it comes to a GM.
Here's my prepared statement.
Yeah,
we're going to take very few questions, if any.
Yeah. So it's still shocking, just because of what he's done and what he had planned.
The timing.
And the timing was terrible.
Oh my goodness!
But there's a lot of tin hats out there saying there's the league mandated it, the TSN mandated it. I don't really go in for that. Not saying that they're not smart enough to pull something like that off, but they're not smart enough to pull that off.
I don't think that there was a conspiracy, anything outside of the doors of the Eskimos. I mean, a lot of that PR and player accessibility thing obviously is being thrown around quite a bit right now.
Sure.
But I think, and you even said this on the Periscope, I think this was a clash of a couple of very large egos, and they couldn't find a good middle ground.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Ed had a propensity for not putting up with any kind of BS, and he spoke what he thought, and that was the way it was. If you didn't like it, oh well, he's not going to lose any sleep over it. He's not going to adjust his methods to...
Coming from the way he grew up, that's just the way he was. That was a player.
Right. He was goal-oriented, and he had a plan in place, and he'll take your suggestions, and he'll process it, and if it's a dumb suggestion, he'll let you know.
No kidding.
So, and a lot of people, that rubs them the wrong way. So, it's, do you take the success, or do you take with the blow to your ego, or do you overcome that and just get rid of the thorn in your side? And that's what they did.
Okay, and that's fair. Okay, and what I would ask you, because this is the other side of it, I've been playing devil's advocate with a lot of people going back and forth, but if you have a boss and the boss says, hey, you have to do this, and then you say, well, no, I'm not going to do that, there does come a point where the boss says, well, then you're not here. Do you think there's any weight in that argument at all?
I'll say that there's some latitude given to a performer. Like, if you're a weak employee and your boss tells you to do something, you're like, meh, whatever, old man's crazy, and you don't do it, you're going to get canned. But if you're the top, like if you're in sales as an example, if you're the top sales guy in your team, you're going to get a little bit more coddling than reprimanding, just because you're bringing in the book, you're bringing in the bucks. Yeah, you're producing, you're doing your job.
Right.
Let's flip this over to, let's say it's hockey and it's the Oilers.
Yeah.
And you're the coach and you say everyone's doing 20 laps and Connor McDavid says, I'm doing 5. Do you trade him? Do you cut him? No. He's got some leeway. And with the Eskimos, it's the same way. There was a whole bunch of rules for players going back to the 50s. But Jackie Parker famously didn't do a lot of it. And they weren't going to get rid of him.
No.
So I think that's along the same ways as Boyd was saying. It's just, he's a performer. He's expected that, listen, I took this team that hadn't won a Grey Cup in 10 years, brought you to the West Final one year, the Grey Cup the next year, the East Final the third year, fourth year. Outside of that first year where he was getting his feet wet, I mean, it's been a pretty impressive record.
100%
36 and 18
Yeah.
in those last 3 years. So that's a pretty impressive record.
Oh, absolutely.
Taking over from the dumpster fire that he was given.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I sort of ignore that first year.
Yeah.
So he's just sort of repairing that sort of damage.
And whenever a GM takes over, there's that first year of them putting their own stamp on the team, right?
Yeah.
So the question I have now is, this has happened. We're not getting Ed back. I've heard a lot of chatter about, if we can do this and fire that person or change the board, whatever, and then hire Herbie back. Herbie's not coming back. He's gone. It's now officially over with. It doesn't matter who we get here now. They're not going to bring Herbie back. And I don't see why I'd want to.
No.
Because at this point, it's just like, you'd have to give so many concessions to him just to be able to assuage that ego.
Oh, of course.
It's not going to happen. So as that has happened, now the ball's in Len's court. So what does the board do if all of a sudden we lose 2,000, an average of 2,000, seats a game, or probably that much, but let's say it's 800,000 seats a game.
Yeah.
What does that say?
800,000 seats a
Yes.
game. Wow, I wish we could lose that.
Yes, 800 to 1,000.
To 1,000
seats a game. What happens to Len at the end of the year?
Hammer time.
Exactly. Well, and this is what we keep talking about, is that he's definitely put his neck out on this.
I mean,
he's laid it on the table.
He's laid it on the table.
The hammer is swinging in the air. We're not sure if it's going to come down or not.
Yeah.
I think that's basically what this is.
Yeah. Either he'll step down because he realized that he did screw up, or he'll be let go.
I don't know if a lot of corporate egos at this point will say that they screwed up. They'll just say that the results are going to look like I made the wrong decision, but there were other factors.
Oh, of course.
That's what a lot of happens, especially with
sure.
ego. Right or wrong,
right.
That's what a lot of people are going to say. So that's a possibility. Now, what happens if we have a good year? I mean, all the pieces are in place. The hay's in the barn, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So let's say we have a good year and we maintain the status quo or even gain a few seats. Then at that point, then they can point and say, I made the right call.
Right.
Whether it's true or not.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
In the grand scheme of things, even if that's the case, as long as they get someone that's competent to replace him, fine.
And when.
I
mean, to me, you can't put somebody in place now. I know that they've got permission to speak to O'Day.
Right.
You can't, at this point, talk about...
I think that tells us how you feel, Boyd. Yeah.
I don't know. I think we might have we might have a free jersey number 2 if O'Day came in here. But
well, I truly hope
if you have a new GM come in here, they're going to want to make a mark, and he knows all the people in Saskatchewan, so it's easy to make a deal.
Yeah.
He might say, "Listen, I know that these players here are really good in Saskatchewan. Let's make a." But to us, they're like, "Who?"
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
and it may look horrible for us. Maybe it works out. Who knows? But to me, it's like, okay, we have a very small pool of available candidates. We've got Tamman, we've got Barker, we've got O'Day, maybe a few more, but not really that many. As opposed to in December when we're going to have the opportunity to speak to a lot more people.
Absolutely. And I think that is the right move, is to wait it out. That's what I would say.
We're paying his salary anyways.
Right.
It's salary for the year, so why compound on it?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. What about the Moss comments this week? Did do kind of his first conversation with the Edmonton Journal and talked about how, he's contacted every player by email and by phone, and we still have the building blocks to do something special. So what do you feel about that? Do you think that's just, rote, or do you think that is what needs to happen, or what do you think?
Go ahead.
I think it's there. I mean, at this point, Herbie was let go at the beginning of April. Like, we're coming into camp. It's not like he's like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do for the next couple of months?
Yeah.
He's been working with his scouts, getting all these American players out there, working with Rob Ralph on the Canadian draft, getting the draft board ready to go and everything else. So it's not like they're, oh my goodness, we haven't starting from scratch.
No, it's true.
So I think that part's definitely true. We've got everything ready to go. I don't think that Herbie leaving at that point is going to affect it. It's everything after that point that's going to be trouble, right? What happens if someone comes up to the draft table and says, we want to make a trade?
Who are they talking to?
Yeah, we want that, that 6th overall pick, the first rounder. Who makes that call? Is that Paul Jones? Is that Rob Ralph? I mean, I would imagine they have it established. But even still, is that the best person to make that call?
No.
I don't know. Hervey's might have a very different reaction to a Paul Jones. So that's where we're really going to see the effect of Hervey not being here.
Absolutely.
And as far as Jason Moss and the team, the building blocks are there. It's their second year all together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The chemistry's there.
Yeah, everything is there as far as coaching. Everything.
Like the first part of last season, they were trying to gel, and it showed. But now they've got the off season where a lot of the guys are all working out together, and which you didn't see years ago.
And not even Benavides as well, right?
Yeah.
So that defensive side.
I think it's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, and I think we can't be crying that it's going to be a horrible season until we actually see them on the field. I think, and like you said, there is continuity on the field. Will there be an effect down the road of Ed not being here? I think there will be, but I think that right now...
Better or worse, right?
Either way, absolutely. But I do think that right now the team itself is quite consistent from last year, and that should be a benefit. Mm-hmm. Let's jump over to some of the players then. What do you think of the player moves so far in the offseason? A lot of different things, especially with the Canadian shift and Grant Shaw not coming back, Batiste not coming back. But adding new guys like Johnny Adams and Corey Greenwood and those types of things. What do you think of those types of things?
Well, a lot of the core is still there. There's some pieces that need to come out of camp and see what we can put in there. Grant, I hate to say it, but he was off the last 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. And there is reasons for that. But
especially the last season, right? Yeah. You have a brand new special teams coordinator. Yeah, maybe you're punting in a different way now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's there's a whole bunch of background stuff there that are reasons why he's not coming back, so that's fine. But like you look at Kuhorn, he just retired and citing health reasons. I can understand that. It's your body takes it. Yeah. It's like being in a car crash every week. And
several times a day.
Yeah. And if he's saying that his head's bothering him, hey, you know what? I'm not going to judge you for that.
Nobody knows better than he does.
Yeah.
Right.
And
that was why you had to leave the game.
Exactly.
Right.
When you go 20 years later and you're having trouble remembering stuff, that's when it catches up to you.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
So, and now people know that, though. So they're, okay, well, I'm a little shaky, so I think I'm going to take it off. It's not like he has something to fall back on. It's not like you're absolutely uneducated or have no prospects for work afterwards. So
especially these days, right? Yeah, everyone's got that college education. It's not just basket weaving, right? These are legitimate degrees.
Basket weaving.
Yeah, the advanced one's the underwater basket weaving.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you pulled that one out. Yeah.
The thing that sucks about Kuhorn is Canadian.
Yeah.
That right there, that's a huge difference. And same with Grant. It's Canadian. It's a big difference. It's a ratio thing.
Okay, but Grant wasn't considered a Canadian starter, like one of the 7 starters.
No.
Right?
No.
So, and does Kuhorn retiring
but we replaced
make that much a difference when you've re-signed Shamad Chambers?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? In my mind right now, I think it'll be interesting to see if we end up going with 2 Canadian receivers or if we end up with 4 Americans and 1 Canadian. Because you start looking down that list with
last year we had 3 Canadian starters on that receiving corps.
Absolutely, we did. But now does that thing hold switch? Because you look at Hazelton, Bowman, Zylstra, Mitchell, all right there, and
need backups for that.
Then you've got Shamad, Shamad Chambers there. You've got
Corey Watson.
Yep. You've got Anthony Barrett, Natea J. Yep. And now those are Canadian backups. Yep. So are the Canadians backing up the Americans, and then we still have enough Canadians on the field? I don't know. We're not going to know more of that until we get into training camp. But it's just, to me, it's very interesting.
Plus
I don't think it's a huge blow with Kuhorn leaving because we did have other than the blocking, because his blocking was amazing.
When Nate was there, we had 6 Canadian receivers still under contract.
Absolutely.
We had Andrew Johnson as the 6th guy, right?
Right, yeah.
So, that's with Devon Bailey gone.
Yes.
So, we're talking a lot of Canadian receivers.
Speaking of new players, all those types of things, Vegas minicamp, that's coming up right away.
Yeah.
Now,
so who lives there again? Why do we have it in Vegas?
Yeah.
Oh, right, Ed Hervey.
Right.
His family lives there.
Yeah. Awkward. Anyway, I'm always excited though when they have minicamp, and that's coming up here in a couple of weeks. That means we're getting a lot closer. What do you guys think of them having it in Vegas instead of out in Florida like they normally do?
I think Vegas is great. I mean, it's certainly a lot closer to the West Coast because we don't have really anyone in that West Coast. That was sort of Ed's area. And we were talking it's a couple-hour drive now, as opposed to if it's in Florida, I mean, they've got to fly or they're driving all day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's a good thing to have it there. And plus, right now, Vegas is exciting. Got a new hockey team coming. Got a new NFL team coming. And it's Vegas. So getting people to go there... I mean, people complain about how Montreal has got a lot of distractions.
Yeah.
Try and imagine Sin City.
Great place for minicamp, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic.
I mean, they're not going to get in any trouble there.
No, not at all.
No one can.
No, that's what I was thinking.
What happens at minicamp stays at minicamp.
There's the hashtag for this week. Okay. Give us just a couple of thoughts there, Boyd, on some of the changes, like them going to All-American defensive line and switching around in the linebackers. What are your thoughts on that?
When it comes to the stuff like changing ratios, and there's so many people that say, oh, yeah, we got to get rid of the Canadian content and just have whoever the best players are.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that.
No,
I never have.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but there is a lot of talent coming out of the States, but you also have the population base coming out of the States.
10 times our population.
Yeah, it's how do you not have 10 times the better players?
Right.
So ultimately, it's not my decision to make. I trust that they can come up with the solutions for it. If they can make it work, great. If it puts a better team on the field, even better.
Yeah.
But if they start monkeying around with something that wasn't necessarily broke in the first place, then people get kind of cranky.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting this year, actually, when that starts out and they have that front line, because those changes all were made under Ed.
Yep.
Right? So, I just hope we don't get to the point of like, oh, well, that's because Ed's gone. Well, no, that was the plan, but it just kind of turned out that way. So
I'm interested to see how it goes. I know when we had Eddie Steele in here, something he had talked about was that all American defensive lines don't historically do as well as a defensive line that's got at least one Canadian on it.
absolutely.
They certainly stand out, those Canadians who make that position, whether it's defensive tackle or the rare defensive end. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
My question right now is, who's playing corner?
100% agree.
I mean, we've got probably Gary Peters on one side.
Yep. And Johnny Adams.
And Johnny Adams maybe, but we're going to need at least somebody backing that up.
I sure hope so. Well, Dubuisson can play corner, so that's your Canadian. We still haven't heard anything about Arjun Calhoun. Am I saying that right?
I think so.
Good
Arjun,
Lord.
yes.
Arjun, thank you. Yeah. Bless you. Yeah, so I'm curious to know who's all going to show up for corner.
To be fair, I can play corner, but just not very well.
Okay, I mean somebody who could do it reasonably well. That's what I do mean. Okay, to be fair.
It's an import position, so
Yeah, you're SOL. Sorry. Yeah. All right, let's switch gears for 1 second and go to to some CFL news. On top of the Ed firing, then our commissioner, Jeffrey Orridge, steps down as the commissioner of the CFL. Okay, for those of you listening to the podcast, Boyd,
everybody,
has a big smile. Okay, so he steps down. He's done as of June 30th. Boyd, give us your thoughts on that.
Well, my birthday is at the end of June, so I'm hoping that I'll have a new job for my birthday.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Oh, perfect. Well, you know what? I vote you in.
I was going to say you got my vote.
Yeah.
I've got my resume and my curriculum vitae.
I mean, my vote isn't worth a whole lot. I voted for Boyd for Pope last time. And that happened.
Didn't happen? Oh, okay.
No.
Well,
that's who that one vote was.
Yes.
thank you.
I mean, it's got a cool hat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just saying.
Needs more protection on it, but
Jeez. All right.
But the way I'm looking at it, anybody going into that position, including myself, is going to look like a rock star because Orage was so bad.
You think so?
I think he was a terrible commissioner.
Okay,
absolutely terrible.
Now, why do you say that?
Out of touch with the fan base, trying to do too much too soon, tying us in with TSN way too far. Like, sure, I like the fact that they pay what they do to the league.
Oh, sure, yeah.
For the exclusive rights and everything, but it's just too much too soon. And then he just wasn't. I think we got kind of spoiled with Kohan. And
anyone coming in after Kohan.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's going to have a hard go.
You didn't. Yeah. I could say it's like coming in after a certain president, but that goes in a whole different direction. But yeah, I just don't think he was that. I wouldn't say skilled, or it just didn't seem like he seemed like he was really out of his depth.
Okay.
You know, Josh Smith from Podski Wee Wee had a fantastic article on Third Down, talking about the great things that Orage did bring to the league.
Sure.
He certainly brought in some stuff that it seems to get swept under the carpet. He had a hard go of it. I think that the next person coming in needs to have a bit more of a familiarity with the CFL.
Agreed.
When Orage came in, it seemed to be that he was playing catch-up too much.
Totally
with
agree.
All these things that have happened, not only in the CFL, but in the last couple of years in the CFL. And it's almost like he got some bullet points on the high-level stuff, and so much stuff was left out. And I felt really bad at that first commissioner's address at Grey Cup in 2015, where he just got hung out to dry.
Yes.
And then the last one, when he was talking about concussions, he just should have answered it better than he did.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I agree.
So I think you need somebody who's going to have a little more connection to the CFL. Having a Canadian doing that is going to be a lot more helpful as well, that they maybe have at least the exposure to it. I don't think Orage did as badly as people are painting him, because he is coming in after Kohan. It's like whoever replaced Hugh Campbell as head coach for the Eskimos, no matter what, it's just going to do very, very badly. And in this case, the guy that did replace Hugh Campbell lasted 8 games and was fired.
That's right, yeah.
And he was 4-4. Yeah. And we're talking about a guy that's like, mighty a 500? Gone.
Exactly.
So it's always going to be that way, unfortunately. I think the next person coming in now will get compared to Orage, and maybe that'll raise that boat. But I think Orage certainly had...
You're in good, Boyd. You're in.
Exactly. So there you go. You're automatically got like 3 or 4 rungs up that ladder. Orage had a really good connection with social media.
Absolutely.
Obviously, he was on our podcast.
Yeah.
He was on the Piffles pod and reached out at something. And it's not like we had to jump through a lot of hoops and make a lot of promises. He was willing to take his time and come on and give us that time to talk about whatever we wanted to talk about. So,
well, and the thing is that I give Orage credit for the fact that when I never got to meet the man face to face. I did go to the State of the League talks, and I understood afterward. At the time, I remember thinking, well, he didn't really answer the question. But then a few months later, I thought, oh, well, that's why he didn't answer it, is because he had this deal in place that he hadn't finalized yet, and now the deal came through, and now it makes sense to me. So I agree with you in that I think that he didn't do as badly as some people have painted him.
I think they're forgetting some of the things he's done.
Some of the things that he did well.
That DraftKings partnership,
my goodness.
that
Huge.
was fantastic.
Huge ESPN deal, the YouTube deal outside of
the YouTube
Canada,
deal,
those types of things.
The stadium in Toronto, I mean, as it turns out, it didn't do that great, but it was not because of Orage.
No. That's not anything to do with him. And even the expanded drug policy.
Yep.
Like, we don't talk about those types of things, right? So I think that he did do some things that are very good. And I will always give him credit, because when he went on the Piffles podcast, I tweeted out just saying, oh, well, hey, if you're doing a podcast, I totally did it as a joke. And then I got a personal message from Jeffrey Orage saying, hey, I'd love to do this. How can we do this? And last week, I received a message from him thanking us for our passion as fans and to be putting in the effort to do this for the CFL. Mm-hmm. And he already knew he was leaving.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? that's a classy move.
Exactly.
The one thing I will give him a ton of credit for is the fact that I think in what he did, as far as when he did interact with fans and when he did have to do I think he did portray as a classy guy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that part, I think he definitely deserves credit for. And I mean, when I got that message, I was floored. I just thought, wow, like this is the CFL commissioner. That's a big deal. Mm-hmm. So I do hope that whoever does come in to replace him, like you said, has that knowledge of the Canadian Football League, but also is that accessible.
Yes.
I think that's
going to be huge.
It's going to be huge.
The league.
Absolutely, for the league in its own. Yeah.
And when you look at the job description, it's trying to be a liaison between the owners of the 9 teams and the CFLPA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, that's got to be a nightmare, just because of the difference in personalities and agendas and
the
everything
PA
else.
getting so much stronger in the last 12 months.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
Because the owners alone, like the different teams, they're all looking out for each other.
Sure.
They're not looking out for the league first. They're looking out for their
not for
team
the players.
first. They're not for the players. They're looking out for their bank accounts.
Yeah.
And that's the nature of the beast, because it is a business. You can say it's a game, but it's a business.
Mm-hmm.
So dealing with that, and then, again, like I said, the Players Association, they've got their stuff that they're pushing hard on. Like the concussion issue is huge right now.
Well, for sure.
Massive.
The stuff that I get emails on every day, it's ridiculous. And I'm like, I know all this already, but it still comes. And they're pushing on social media. They're pushing on the alumni dinners and everything else. Like everything that comes out, anything alumni-wise, it's unreal.
You look at the percentage of former football players to come down with brain-related diseases, whether it's Alzheimer's, whatever, compared to the rest of the male population, and it's scary.
It's massively high.
I mean, you can't say there's no relation between playing football and CTE, especially playing football 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I mean, it's getting better every year. Talking to Dwayne Mandrusiak, he goes down to all these different conventions and everything else and sees the new technology coming out. And every year, that's all they're focused on. But that being said, you can't also go in and say, oh, it's totally responsible for all these things, because at that point, there's no CFL.
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, if we're talking $1 billion lawsuit, the CFL doesn't make billions for years combined. So it would bankrupt the league.
It would be it's a huge issue. Yeah,
hard tightrope to walk. And that's why I said earlier, he could have answered the question better, saying that there's no relation. I mean, he didn't say there's no relation. There's no proven relation. I think at this point you say, listen, there's still a lot of research going in there with people that know this better than I do. From what I can tell you right now, there is no definitive proof of a link. However, it's still being investigated, and we will work with them to do whatever possible for people that have played for this league and made it what it is. Something as simple as that. I mean, I'm certainly no lawyer, I'm no wordsmith, but something that's going to at least appease people and just not say dismissing it outright.
Yes.
And I think the problem was he was asked so many times at the very end, he's just like spat out, there's no link.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's, ooh, not so good. Yeah, okay.
And we're still talking about it. So
exactly.
I want to know, going back to the Esks, what are we going to be doing to bring people in? If you were the GM of the Eskimos and one of your mandates is to help bring people to the stadium, and apparently winning isn't enough, what else do you do to bring people to see our game live?
Ticket prices.
That's
across the board?
Across the board.
Across the board. Okay.
Yeah. Bring them down. Okay. I'm not saying a huge amount, but any little bit makes a difference. It's like, don't get me wrong, bang for your buck. It's a huge value already.
Yes.
I agree. Yeah, but that's not for you, me, and Mike. We're
going anyway.
Yeah,
well, for sure.
Yeah.
But for the casual fan that only goes to 3 games a year, that they'll appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Like for myself, I have 3 tickets. Do I want to get that 4th one? Well, if it's a little bit cheaper, sure. Why not?
Right.
Then,
especially if you already have tickets.
Yeah. If
making
you already
that kind of
them,
promotion saying, if you have season tickets, you can buy an extra season ticket at a discount.
At a discount, right. Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to see the team's actual attendance, not tickets sold.
Okay.
Oh, when they report it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. There's a reason they don't broadcast that, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, they can say there's 30,000 tickets sold to a game, and it's supposed to saying 9,000 people showed up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or promotions on filling the lower bowl first, or the TV side first. It's however it makes the stadium look
Do
fuller.
that in Toronto.
Yeah.
Andrew's brought it up a lot every time. Just when we had that West final in 2015, it was packed, and that's because they were giving $20 seats in those end zones.
Yeah.
And if it fills up the stadium and it creates an extra buzz, that means everybody is going to remember that and want to be there. So if that's every game, the biggest competition they have is the fact that we have 60-inch HD TVs. And I could sit at home and drink a beer for $2 versus, $10 for a beer at a stadium. So...
You drink beer?
No.
Okay. Just
but if I did...
okay, yeah.
I just bring in gin. So... If I was going to a game and all of a sudden it's electric feeling there. It's just like, that's amazing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's a feeling you'll never get at home. If it's like that all the time because you're filling all those seats cheaply, maybe that's going to bring the casual fan to come a little more, especially at $20.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 2 beer. Really.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
And would they rather have the stadium sold out at a cheaper price or have it half full at a higher price? It's
not even half sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And is that draw bringing more people in? I would be perfectly fine to say, okay, let's leave where the seats are that like the side seats, the season tickets where they are now.
Between the 20s or whatever.
Just leave them, right? But then let's add this cheaper option. And that brings more people in, right? So, okay. I think that's kind of universal as far as that goes. But
more tailgating.
That's important.
Definitely.
That's important. Yeah. You want an Empire tailgate.
People talk about the American, the NFL experience, and people bring that up all the time.
Yeah.
If you go to an NFL game, that tailgate is a massive part of it.
Huge.
Calgary.
Yeah, even the Calgary one is enormous.
I was at the Labor Day game last year, and I got to tell you, it was fantastic. I mean, you got the occasional ribbing because I'm wearing the proper colors.
Of course. Yeah.
But unfortunately, not the winning colors that game. But
unfortunately.
But still, I mean, I was treated like, you're cheering for the other team, but we're still fans of the CFL. And that was huge. So, I mean, people were handing me beverages and they were handing me a burger or whatever. Just because, and they didn't know who I was.
No.
It was just, hey, thanks for coming down because these people are spending money in your stadium, which means it goes in your team's pocket. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a huge
I think
thing.
that, they're talking about expanding it this year for tailgating. That's going to be huge.
I hope so.
And, I really hope so as well that they're expanding it. But I think that if you can start making it a real event, a full day event, that can be a phenomenal thing.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
The second-by-second script for the game day experience needs to be adjusted.
I think that's happening all over. It's not just Edmonton, though.
It is, and it's TSN mandated. So they say, okay, you have to have this happen at this time, this happen at this time. It's literally a script. It's pages of a script. And okay, well, it's this many minutes into the game. This is when we're gonna have a break. That's great, but when okay, well, it's this break, it's gonna be the Jiffy Lube dogs racing around the track. Change it up a little bit. I
don't think the TSN
different.
mandates that, though.
No, they don't.
The Eskimos could change it up. Maybe one time...
Put the Jiffy Lube dogs in the fourth quarter.
Being
really? No, I'm kidding.
Being on the east side...
Let the west side win more.
That's right. What? Yeah.
Being on the east side for as long as I have, just once I want to say green instead of gold.
Oh!
Or go instead of Esks. It's just a simple little thing, but come on.
Yeah,
change it up.
Shake it up a little bit. Yeah, so it's not the same every time.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm all for tradition. I mean, anyone that knows me realizes I really like tradition.
What?
Yeah, hard to believe.
I just fell off my seat.
I know, but to me, it's like you say, it just makes something so it allows the fan to be spontaneous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not this, spontaneity has a time and place.
And it's at 7 minutes into the third quarter.
And I feel for someone like Chris Sheets, who sometimes you'll see people giving him flack for it.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, listen, I'm an employee, and this is what my boss is telling me to do.
Oh, did we have that conversation?
It's like we did.
Yeah.
And I think he does a great job at it. It's just a lot of things that people are complaining about. That's way out of his control.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he does the best he can with what he's given.
Yeah. Totally.
And I think, he's been doing a good job for years. Although, if we can get rid of the who wants the ball back, I'd be okay with that.
Okay, but that's a cheer I do with my kids, so
But we can have another cheer.
Yeah, but I like that one. That's pretty cool. Who wants the ball back? We do.
I'm editing this whole part out, so it's
all right, fine. It's fine. Okay. All right, Boydo, before we get to all of our wonderful other segments, we didn't get to ask you this last time you were here, but what does the Eskimo way mean to you?
Acting like you've been there. Doing what you say you're going to do. And standing up. If you make a mistake, you own up to it. Like as a player, if you're in a game and you drop the ball, you're paying for it the next day.
Push-ups.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Suicide runs or suicide sprints or anything like any kind of accountability. Like be accountable for your actions. Mm-hmm. If you say you're gonna do something, do it. And if you don't, better have a good reason as to why.
Wow. That is, I had goosebumps when you started. That was a great answer. That's Yeah, that's fantastic.
I love that this particular segment, asking people that, whether they are fans or especially people that have been involved with the team as a player, and especially people that have been around the team as long. I mean, growing up in the area and everything else, and especially growing up from that 5-0 era onwards. That's really when it started, right?
Yeah. Yes.
That Eskimo way. I mean, if you went in the 60s, the Eskimo way it meant we lost. A lot.
Oh.
And we had an amazing defense, but it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But, that sort of started, right, when we started bringing in Ray Yawk and then Hugh Campbell especially. And I think you really hit it on the nail on the head, like being able to say what you mean and mean what you say.
Yeah.
And being accountable to your actions. And we see it all the time. Ed was a great example. When we were at training camp last year, we had a player who ultimately didn't make the team.
Yeah, ultimately.
But he started just swinging at another player in training camp. And all of a sudden, you saw a guy in that hat come out, in that fedora, come out and walk up to him, take the player, walk him off, and walk him back. And he wasn't let go. Yeah. He still was with the team for at least a few more days, if not a week.
Yeah, a week, yeah.
And that's where I think we're going to see the absence of Hervey. Is going to be
absolutely
felt. The discipline.
Who's going to be that guy that takes them off the field and calms them down or lays out the riot act? So,
because Moss has the passion.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if he has the filter,
right,
to be able to tone it back.
Yeah, is that going to be Paul Jones? I don't know.
Nah.
I don't. We're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Oh, training camp's going to be exciting. All right. Well, now that we've talked about the future and the past and where everything is going with the Eskimos, let's travel back once again with our Eskimo history segment.
Let's hear you cheer and holler for a mighty famous team. Let's hear you roar, you know what, for a team that's on repeat. Our voices rise up to the skies, the fans are glad to scream. We love those Eskimos.
Welcome to the 25th edition of This Week in Eskimos History.
Whoa, 25.
I know. This is a milestone. It's fantastic. Cool. This week we will talk about some significant Eskimo-related dates from April 19th through May 2nd as we ramp up to the draft and training camp coming in the next few weeks. Some significant birthdays in the end of April include April 20th. It's the birthday of Kenny Stafford, receiver in 2015, who turns 27 years old. Me too.
Me three.
On April 28th, Hall of Famer Gino Fracas, who was a fullback and linebacker from 1955 to 62. He would have been 87. And on April 29th, friend of the podcast, Eric Upton, offensive lineman from 1976 through 1984, turns 64. For current Eskimos celebrating a birthday, we have one. So his name is John. Any guesses?
John.
That's right. It's John Cody Sherritt.
Well,
JC from 2013 to present is a youthful 29 years old.
29? Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
So he just stays there forever, right?
As do I.
I mean, yeah.
Yup.
Snort is perfect.
So Eskimos who have had their anniversary of passing during this time. April 28th, 2012, 7-year Eskimo and All-Star at middle guard and linebacker, Al Equier passed away at the age of 74 after a long battle with Alzheimer's. Equier was a fearsome defender and heavy hitter for the Eskimos from 1959 through 1965, taking the ball away from their opponents 24 times in that span, before finally being sent to Toronto in the trade that brought safety John Wide-Rennie to the team. And lastly, looking at other important dates in the Empire, we have 2 important dates to look at. On April 30th, 2008, the Eskimos trade their first 2 picks in the 2008 draft to Calgary for center John Comiskey, receiver Kevin Challenger, and a 2nd and 3rd round pick in the 2008 draft, where they selected Greg White and Tim St. Pierre. The Stampeders, however, used that first-round pick to select offensive lineman Dimitri Sumpas, who was expected to go to his hometown Eskimos and was sitting in Vice President of Communication and PR Dave Jameson's office, expecting a press conference to announce the signing. Instead, he was told of the trade. Sumpas ended up being a 4-time All-Star at guard for the Stampeders, and the Eskimo faithful will not soon forget that trade. And on April 19th, 2005... Esks trade offensive line stalwart Dan Comiskey to Hamilton for All-Star defensive end Joe Montford. Montford was a 10-year veteran and 3-time winner of the CFL Most Outstanding Defensive Player Award, but was nearing the end of his career. He was, however, still a force off the edge, registering 10 sacks and 27 defensive tackles while playing all 18 regular season games in 2005 and helping the Eskimos win their 13th Grey Cup at the end of the season. Comiskey, the other half of that trade, ended up coming back to Edmonton in October of that year in a separate trade with the Tiger Cats to be part of the offensive line that helped bring home the championship. Thank you again for listening to another episode of This Week in Eskimos History. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Esks History, or find us on Facebook under This Day in Esks History. Until next week, fight on Eskimos.
Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. We love those Eskimos.
Love it. Thank you again, Superfan.
Yeah.
Let's take a really short break, and then we'll be right back with the Esks by the numbers for this week.
This is Phil from EskFans.com, and you're listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
Hey guys, do you know there's even more ways to interact with the Empire online? What? That's right, you can find us on Twitter at EskEmpirePod, on Facebook under the Eskimo Empire Podcast group, on Instagram at EskEmpirePod, and you can also follow us on YouTube under our channel, the Eskimo Empire Podcast. Now, I know you guys like that Eskimo History segment, right? Yeah! You can follow more of that information at Esks History on Twitter, and you can find it on This Day in Esks History on Facebook. Don't forget to share, okay? Okay! Thanks so much for listening. Let's get back to the show. All right, we are back, and it is that time once again. Patreon, patreon.com/EskEmpirePod. See, I added a new thing this week.
That is outstanding.
I tell you, I'm trying as much as I can.
Let me know when that song's downloadable on iTunes.
Never.
Good, because that's when I'm getting it.
That's perfect. Okay. Thank you again to everyone who's become part of the Patreon page and been a patron. We're almost at our second goal.
Which is outstanding.
And it amazes me. I do want to thank everyone for that. This is really helping because as we kind of go forward with the podcast, we're looking at, putting in a new computer. We've been paying for all of the hosting fees for all of this time, and we want to do that. That's part of what we do.
Yes.
And we're going to continue to do that. And of course, the iTunes feed and all those types of things are always going to be, continue to be at no charge. But we want to give some extra content out too. Tonight here we have a fantastic conversation with Boyd for 40 minutes, and that whole full length that full-length interview will be available on Patreon right away. So join in, be part of it. Got to give our shout-outs, as we will, for our regular patrons, as they now call them. So our veteran patrons, Bill Kempthorne and Shelley Rains, thank you very much. You guys, we can't thank you enough. And I do hope that we get to see both of you as we get closer to the season and as we get towards that tailgate for sure.
I'm looking forward to meeting Bill. Bill lives on Vancouver Island, so...
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
And, of course, our Hall of Famers, Joe Balaneski, Jedi Chantel, and a new one in Arby's fan. Thank you very much for being part of the Patreon. We very much appreciate it.
We really do.
And, I mean, we did catch up, actually, with Jedi last week, just to kind of get how she felt about the whole Ed situation.
Yeah,
so
let's interview there.
Yeah, let's roll that right now.
What the fire truck? Fire trucker! What a bunch of fire truckers. You've got to be fire trucking kidding me. Fire trucker! I can't believe those fire trucking fire truckers. What a fire trucker.
Well, it's always good to catch up with Jedi, and she has such a, precise point when it comes to these types of things. So.
Yeah, you can tell she got that degree in English.
Absolutely. I love how she breaks this down. For those of you at that level or higher, make sure that you are sending us your addresses so that we can send out your t-shirt to you, and make sure that you have that so you can represent the pod.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys are sharing the link. Of course, if you can't be part of the Patreon, that is perfectly fine. And all we ask from you is to help by sharing the link to the show and giving us a review on any spots that there is a review available, preferably a good one. And that definitely helps the show as well. We already, again, have the Blake Dermott full-length interview, and we have the podcaster Ryan full-length interview available on the Patreon, all for the cost of a cup of coffee. So those are well worth it. The podcaster Ryan one has many, many, many laughs, so I highly recommend that. And our first bonus episode will be out in May. We said that last week, but that is going to be coming out. We're just working on that right now. So help us out, be part of it, and then you can, of course, join us at the tailgate, which will be a part of that as well, I'm hoping.
Fingers crossed.
That's right. Patreon.com/EskEmpirePod, as it was sung at the beginning of this. So join us there. That would be fantastic. All right, Superfan. It's that time again.
It is.
Let's get to our Esks by the numbers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Welcome back to the Esks by the numbers for jersey numbers 70 through 79.
Boyd, what number were you again?
17.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you missed out.
I did.
I think Dick Dupuis just edged you out in
just
that one.
Barely.
Brutal.
Yeah, I know.
But you had more than Shamad, so that's okay.
Wow. I don't know how I feel about that.
Either does he.
Aww.
This week we ran the gamut with a few players dominating their numbers and a few offering too many or too few choices to pick from. Some players it felt wrong excluding after what they've done for the Eskimos over the year. For example, 50s All-Star defensive end Frank Guts Anderson at number 70. Ooh. But ultimately we want you to have your say, so let's get to it. Speaking of number 70, probably no surprise to anyone in this room or anyone that's listening, Brian Kelly won this one.
Anyone that's ever watched an Eskimo game.
It was a close one. Brian Kelly ended up with 98.7% of the vote.
Wow. I can't believe that wasn't 100%.
I know. Bill Smith got 1.3%. So pure domination on this one with a couple of votes just going the way of that former Edmonton mayor and defensive back. At 71, it was a little closer. Waddell Smith took it with 83%.
Oh, wow.
Where 1950s running back and Steve Bendiak edged out Kelly Campbell for second with 6.5%.
Interesting. I thought for sure Kelly had that second one wrapped up.
No, nope. Unfortunately, Steve Bendiak. So there's a lot of fans, or they just like saying Bendiak.
Yeah, exactly.
It just sounds Albertan.
Hashtag Bendiak.
Yeah. And that one vote for Bill was probably Bill.
Yeah. To be fair. He had two.
Oh,
2 votes.
Well. Boyd.
Yes. Bill and Boyd voting for...
I'm just going to mess it up back.
Number 72 actually only had 2 choices to pick from, and 70s receiver John Kanahowski owned it with just over 88%, while defensive tackle Glenn Scrivener was the also-ran. There was an other vote in this one for Dario Romero, who he did wear that number in 2001. However, he was more famous probably for wearing 94 in his second stint with the Esks, and that's where he's going to be placed when we get to round 10. For 73, 50s, 60s wide receiver Jim Letkovitz was a surprise winner with over 47%, while 70s defensive end Leroy Jones placed second with about half that, 23.5%.
Interesting.
74 had a really tough round here. Probably one of the closest ones, with some great players who weren't necessarily as famous as they might have been to people watching now. But in the end, defensive end Ed Molstad topped former end E.A. Sims by 7 votes to take this one.
Really close one.
Fairly close, for sure. These are guys that a lot of people don't know. Ed Molstad is probably more famous for being the CFLPA lawyer for decades.
Right, yeah.
But again, was definitely involved with that late 60s, early 70s defensive line, which was very fierce for us when we had no offense whatsoever. E.A. Sims, unfortunately, was at the beginning of the 60s, and an amazing player, but because the team was pretty terrible, he didn't get as many votes. 75. I thought this one might have been closer, but ultimately tight end Tyrone Walls had to bow before the juice. John Mandarich, who tripled his second place opponent with 71%.
Wow.
76, we got another dominating performance, to no one's surprise, as George McGowan scored 90% to take this one from second place finisher and friend of the podcast, Randy Spencer.
Absolutely.
77 was less of a battle, again, that I thought. AJ Gass dominated as well as he did on the field, pummeling Brian Fryer to win by a score of 81.5% to 14.5%.
Wow.
So really not that close.
Yeah.
For 78, as someone who wore both 77 and 78, we decided to place Tommy Joe Coffey under the higher number as we didn't have as many candidates for this one. So he did not disappoint, garnering 94% of all the votes, besting Stefan Jones, who took second by a single vote.
Ooh, wow.
So that was pretty close there as well. And 79, lastly, we had a number that didn't have a whole lot of long-term Eskimos wearing it. Derek McCready beat out Eric Taylor and Sean Lemon, who split second place. Wow. McCready got 53%, and Lemon and Taylor each had 22%. So we did have that other question, which we'd like to put in at the end of the round of Esks by the Numbers. This time we had we talked about a potential Eskimo Empire podcast tailgate section before every home game. So we hope to have some definitive news on that in the next few weeks.
Hopefully.
But in the meantime, also don't forget to join us at halftime during every home game for the West of Us gathering. So
exactly. And where do we meet that? Where do we meet?
We meet that right behind Section G on the west side.
West side. You live on the east side, Cartman.
That's right, on the west side. Wow. If you can follow the smell of the mini donuts,
yes,
you will find us right beside
just
the information
cut
booth.
Right across the field.
That's right.
Up, you're good
I get mad when I do that.
Don't they all know you by now?
Well, Tony Washington especially seems to get mad when people do that.
Exactly.
So as long as you can avoid him, you're fine.
I can't afford to be tackled again.
No. So just going on to the separate poll we had, which is the media and podcasters one, we had some real discrepancies, as which happened in the last couple of rounds, with so many outstanding receivers and defensive linemen to wear numbers in the 70s. So moving up to 73. So while Jim Letkovitz did double up on Leroy Jones in the fan vote, they ended up being tied in this one. So they got 37.5% each. So both of them got that there. 74, Molstad still won, but Roland Prather actually took second place. He had one vote more than E.A. Sims for second. 77, this one was actually A.J. Gass won by a single vote over Brian Fryer.
Single vote?
Yeah, so really close on that one.
That would be my vote. Yeah.
So that's just it.
AJ.
Exactly. It's one of those things. We had one or two more people, it might have gone a different way. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a good thing Brian Fryer isn't part of the podcast. And number 79, Eric Taylor won this one.
Okay.
Which I thought was a bit of a surprise. And Sean Lemon nudged out Darren McCready by a vote for second. So
really? Wow.
McCready was first place in the fan vote, third place in the media vote. So
interesting.
Anyway, thanks again to everyone for voting in the 8th round. The penultimate round, round 9, which is numbers 80 through 89, has just opened, and the links can be found on the Esks History and Esks Empire Pod Twitter accounts, and have also been posted on our respective Facebook pages as well. So we look forward to seeing how these all turn out as we get into the home stretch.
Well, and that's some massive receivers in that group.
Yeah, these are a little bit more modern receivers. The 70s were more receivers in the 50s, 60s, through the 80s.
Yeah.
Once we get into the 90s and 2000s, you started getting a lot more of those receiver numbers there. So.
A lot more of those 80s numbers. So yeah,
I think going to be some, again, dominating numbers here. So we'll see.
Oh, yeah, I think it'll be very interesting. Can anybody say Mookie?
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Darrell's going to get some votes there.
Oh, probably. I think that's a good race. That's a good race. So, all right. Well, we are almost at the end of the Esks by the numbers. Like you said, we've got 2 more rounds, the 80s and 90s. And of course, we've got a grand prize to come that we're still piecing together. So we'll make sure that we tell you all about that.
Lots of stuff in
weeks. I think so too. So make sure that you are sharing the link and make sure that you are filling in your surveys. Get that all out. Because we definitely want to have more people involved as we get to the last 2 rounds, which will lead right up to when we are getting to our season. So.
We had a really good turnout for the last round as well. We had it dip for round 7, and round 8 really saw a return of a lot of people voting. So that's great. Thank you.
Awesome. Again. Awesome. And we'll hope for that again as we get into the 80s and 90s. So,
yes.
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
90s are going to be scary.
Oh, I know there
are a lot of guys in the Wall of Honor in the 90s.
There's some tough ones in there for sure. Yeah. Now, those that said that they would like to be featured fans on the podcast, expect to get emails showing up in the next little bit here. It's because we're starting to book for the season, and I'd like to try and make sure I give some people some warning and get some people in here. Right, Boyd?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like 24 hours. I mean, that's...
Put me in, coach.
All right, perfect. I can do that. That's awesome.
I'm ready to go.
So
hide his helmet.
So yes, we will make sure those emails will be coming out soon, and if you could just make sure that you could respond so that we can get that all booked in, that would be fantastic. Boyd, it was awesome having you here again. Thank you for all of your opinions as we go through all this other stuff with the Eskimos, and we live through it as fans. Where does everyone find you as far as online and all those types of things?
Boydo on Esks Fans.
Perfect.
And Twitter, it's Boydo Esks 17.
Awesome. Perfect. That's awesome. And Superfan, where does everybody find you?
You can find me at 56 Parkies and at Esks History.
Perfect. And you can find us at Esks Empire Pod and me at Free Policious. So make sure you're joining in there. Thank you again for listening to our little show, as without you, there is no Empire. Our preseason West of Us, we announced it on the Periscope, is now set May 26th, the Friday, and we'll be returning to first round downtown. So
be there.
Make sure you are part of that. It'll be from 6 p.m. till around 10 or 11, and we will definitely be mingling with all of us as Eskimos fans, and of course getting ready for training camp to open 2 days later.
Yes.
Where some of us may still be hungover. Depends on if Brazilian Tide joins or not. Yeah. And we'll be back in 2 weeks with our regular Esks news, our Eskimo history, and of course the next round of Esks by the numbers. We're working on some more special guests as well, and I'll hopefully fill you in. We're getting closer to that episode 100, Superfan, and you know what that means. Hopefully. That's right. Still working on it. So are we ready for the snow to melt and get to football? Absolutely. For Boyd and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face. Right, Boyd?
That's
true.
We
will absolutely talk to you soon.